Chapter 350, Patricide and Massacre. This chapter is updated by novels.pl. With a sarcastic look the Queen said, "Your Majesty, Guier has grown up. You should step down." The power from her hand strengthened, and her every finger was like an iron claw piercing the Yunwu Commandery Prince's head. "Oh!" The Yunwu Commandery Prince roared and ran his genuine chi. Threads of white genuine chi condensed from his palms into a small vortex. He hit the Queen in the chest. Boom! The attack concaved the Queen's chest and made her retreat backwards. She spat blood and collided into a column which was made of gold. She fell to the ground. Although the Queen was in the heaven realm, she had only gained cultivation of the initial stage and she was far weaker than the Yunwu Commandery Prince. Even if he was poisoned, she would never be his opponent. Zhang Tangai sneered. He took out a dark dagger and rushed forward. He soared and thrust his sword through the Yunwu Commandery Prince's chest. Sitting on his throne, the Yunwu Commandery Prince immediately ran his genuine chi to form a white light screen to ward off Zhang Tangai's dagger. Boom! The attack from the black dagger bent the light screen, setting a circle of ripples into motion. Blood gushed from the Yunwu Commandery Prince's head and flowed down from his hairline. His whole face was covered with blood, making him look ferocious. He roared at the Queen and Zhang Tangai. "Why? I'm so good to you. Why would you do this? Why? Why?" The toxin began to kick in. The Yunwu Commandery Prince felt a severe pain in his chest and his viscera started to dissolve. His face turned pale and he was sweating profusely. His genuine chi was plunging into chaos. And the power of the celestial body she held was gradually lessening. Zhang Tangai laughed with a sneer and said, "Why? Is it not simple? Because I want to be the emperor of the Yunwu Commandery and you are my stumbling block. Under the support of the young master, I will unify the whole Oman region. The Yunwu Commandery will become a superior class commandery. Only I can accomplish these things, you never will." Not knowing the identity of Zhang Tangai's young master, Yunwu Commandery Prince was shaking with anger. He felt so sad. Dreariness covered his eyes. He said, "The throne will be yours sooner or later. You don't have to kill your father." Zhang Tangai burst into laughter and he taunted, saying, "Kill my father? Ha ha. You really think that I am your son? How stupid you are." "What?" The Yunwu Commandery Prince's bloodshot eyes opened wide, as if he'd been struck by lightning. "Let me tell you the truth, my lord." A middle-aged man appeared from outside. He looked to be in his 40s. He had a beard and was wearing a purple robe. He was the minister of the Yunwu Commandery, Zhu Jingshan. "Minister, how could you enter into the palace without my permission?" Yunwu Commandery Prince asked angrily. Zhu Jingshan replied with a smile, "Your Majesty, you've always secluded yourself for refining over the years, so you don't know, but I can enter into the palace as I want. I don't need any permission." Truth be told, Guier is my son. Yunwu Commandery Prince howled, his blue veins protruding outward. He said, "No, impossible. You are his uncle. How impossible? That's adultery, incest." Zhu Jingshan completely ignored him. He helped the injured queen and lovingly wiped the bloodstain off her mouth. In a mild tone he said, "Jingxuan, once he dies, we can be together, always, without evasion and fear. Are you happy?" The queen nodded and nestled into his arms. The Yunwu Commandery Prince hadn't understood why his queen wanted to kill him until now. Because he was not her beloved man at all. The Yunwu Commandery Prince had always trusted in Zhu Jingshan, because he was the queen's brother. But he had never imagined the two would do such an immoral thing. They had completely deceived him for 20 years. 20 years. The man was so pathetic and deplorable. "I hate that I failed to recognize you." The Yunwu Commandery Prince stared inconsolably at the queen. The queen gazed at him and said reasonably, "I married you for the prosperity of my family. Honestly, I should thank you. If we hadn't had the resources of the Yunwu Commandery, our cultivations would have never reached the heaven realm. Guier couldn't have cultivated and become the elder disciple of the Yuntai suzerain. I can leave you a whole dead body as a token of my gratitude." Bitch. The Yunwu Commandery Prince boiled with anger. His genuine chi sent Zhang Tangai flying. The great power made the queen and Zhu Jingshan retreat to the outside of the palace. Incredible. He could be so powerful even in the poison of blood shadow. Zhang Tangai was propelled out to the palace exterior. He even broke a wall. The Yunwu commandery prince chased after him. He stopped, transfixed when he came to the outside, where he found an extensive massacre. Dreaded shouts could be heard everywhere. Eunuchs and maidservants were fleeing in every direction. Chengzhong, a body was hanging from a wall in the distance. It was the strongest man in the Yunwu commandery army, Wan Chengchong. His chest had been thrust open by a heavy sword. The man was pinned to the wall and his blood fell to the ground drop by drop. A lion-hearted warrior died in this way. Wan Chengchong had long been following the Yunwu commandery prince. He was his best friend and the soul of the army. The death of Wan Chengchong was another hard blow. Pow! An elder's body fell from above right in front of the Yunwu commandery prince. Blood spluttered on his face. Ninth uncle. The Yunwu commandery prince sprang at the body. He wanted to lift him up, but he failed because the elder had died and his body was too soft to be lifted. All his bones had broken and turned into powder. There was no flesh intact on this gory body. The ninth uncle was the most powerful master in the royal family. His martial cultivation had reached the medium state of the heaven realm, yet he had still died in distress. It broke the Yunwu commandery prince's last bit of hope. The square commandery prince, Jinkun and masters from the square commandery walked out and besieged the Yunwu commandery prince. They had killed Wan Chengchong and the ninth uncle. If they hadn't been helped by Zhang Tangai, the defense system of the palace would have not been broken so soon. Yunwu commandery prince, there's no way out for you. With great pleasure, the square commandery prince looked sympathetically at the Yunwu commandery prince. Because of his son, he had lost his throne. He had lost his throne. Even his life, because of this son. Isn't it a pleasant thing? The Yunwu commandery prince stared at them, from Zhu Jingshan, to Zhang Tangai to the square commandery prince. Finally, seeing his end in sight, he laughed loudly and said, "You are great. The vendetta tonight will be settled. Someone will find you. Even if I die, you will not live a long life." Zhang Tangai sneered at him, saying, "Are you looking forward to Zhang Yuochen avenging you? He will never come back." "Why? What did you do?" The Yunwu commandery prince roared. "A young master of the black market excellence hall will kill him. He has no chance." Yunwu commandery prince, don't be depressed. Once you die, I will send your 6 remaining sons to see you in hell. Ha ha. The square commandery prince said, laughing maliciously. Puff. The Yunwu commandery prince spat blood. His body leant back and fell to the ground. He had suffered a lot on this night. 2 excellent sons. One was not his own, the other was killed. The Yunwu commandery prince finally went down. The toxin completely filled into his heart. He stared at the sky and began to murmur incessantly, "Chenna, Chenna, bam." Zhang Tangai rushed forward. His fist hit the Yunwu commandery prince's head and smashed it. The Yunwu commandery prince was dead. "You were still missing Zhang Yuochen, even the moment before your death, for fear that he has already entered into hell." Yunwu commandery prince, you are so pathetic. Zhang Tangai looked coldly at the body, wiped the blood on his hands with his sleeves and turned back to ask the warriors of the black market, "Did you catch Zhang Yuochen's mother, concubine Lin?" After seeing Zhang Tangai kill his own father in cold blood, the warriors feared him. With trepidation, one of them came forward and said carefully, "Commandery Prince, concubine Lin has escaped." "What?" Zhang Tangai looked wrathfully at the warrior. He walked up to him, grasped his neck and said, "Concubine Lin is just a common person, you couldn't even kill her." Their warrior replied in fright, "Your Majesty, it was a killer of the Hades department that took her away. We couldn't stop him. His powerful sword technique killed 43 masters. He rushed straight out of the gate, and no one could defend against him. Even Commander Go Shizun was killed by him." Crack. Zhang Tangai didn't want to hear it. He killed the warrior and threw him to the ground. In a serious tone he said, "Send people to kill concubine Lin. The woman must be killed at all costs. The rest of you come with me to the Lin's mansion. Tonight, we will destroy the royal family first, and then exterminate all the Lins. Those who submit will prosper, those who resist shall perish."